Like the old sailor adrift at sea might say, water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. We too in the scale model boating hobby might say, propellers, propellers everywhere, but not one to fit my boat. I built a scale model Wiesel several years ago, modifying the kit to add 4 shafts instead of 3, and going with slightly small propellers. In doing so, I used Graupner's 30mm propeller, which looked like that, but very, very bad performance. Then I ordered some new propellers, 40mm, going from 30 to 40, thinking that I could put those in my lathe and turn them down a little bit to get them down to about 36 or 37 millimeters in diameter. But after looking at them for a while, they too were paltry. The pitch is not very high and there's not very much blade surface area. So then I started looking at 3D printing just only 2 weeks ago, and I came up with my first little propeller design. It looked like this. What I was trying to do was achieve something close to one of the original speedboats. That was my first design, which had kind of broad blades on it, but the pitch, again, was somewhat mild. I redesigned that a little bit, came up with my second prototype, higher pitch. Wasn't too bad, but the design did not have very good lines at the end of the propeller. So I went ahead and I modified that further, and that came up with this prototype. And again, I'm using 3D printing using PLA monofilament, which is biodegradable, probably not good for water, especially if something is rotating in water, it might erode down a little bit, and I was concerned about that, but I had ordered some ABS filament. This was my better adaptation of that. I cleaned up the propeller blades a little bit, and then I was pretty satisfied with that. I also experimented as I needed a 4mm thread on the inside, and I had some little 4mm threaded inserts, so I epoxied one in there. This is, again, my test, final test. Then I switched over to ABS. This is what the ABS print looks like, and what I did is I actually built up my own build-up layers, because in the monofilament printer you have to have support underneath any overhangs. Otherwise, the filament does not know where to set itself on top of an open area. So a little bit more about that when I get into the video. The next top is the same propeller blade. This being a left-hand one, this is a right-hand one, because they have 4 propellers, 2 turning in one direction, 2 in the other direction. So this is what the same thing looks like after I broke all of the support structures off of it. Then, after I did that, I sanded down the propellers to get that kind of a finish. Then after I did that, I cemented in the insert using JB Weld epoxy. Then I sanded down to this finish. Then I painted it. Then I let it dry for a day, and then I gave it a light sanding again and another coat of paint. So this is my finished propeller, one that I'm going to be using on the boat, and I'll be using the other 3 as well. Just to give you a fast review of how I created the propeller itself, which is sitting right here on my support. I created the hub, which was done fairly easy. And I also created the blades using these cross sections of the propeller. As the propeller moves further back, these cross section increases and changes. Then I rotated those 3 times, made 3 copies, and put them around this axis of the hub, and brought them all together. Very simple. Once the propeller was done, I decided to figure out how to make the support platform. And basically I had the base, And I had these concentric rings. They just were circles that were like hollow pieces of tubing that stuck up. Brought the propeller down and figured out where the front and rear blades was, and just on the inside of them, just slightly on the inside of the leading edge and the trailing edge, I added a little curve, and then brought the propeller down where it sat on top of that, or where I wanted it. Now keep in mind that these concentric circles are all sticking up through here. Subtracted the copy of the propeller blade off of that, so I was able to break the top off the bottom, and then I came in here and I added all of these little chamfers. Now those little chamfers give very little point of contact between the support and the propeller blades themselves. So when everything is put together, there is just a little contact edge in here, and that helps break off the support itself. If you use the system supports, you wind up getting some sort of shape, usually triangle or diamond shapes or whatever, lots of pieces in here, and wind up breaking parts of the blade off too. So making a custom support works out very well.